Why do some people have to live on the street? Nobody wants to live without a proper home. They end up there by luck. You might have seen someone without a home before, and sometimes they have a dog with them. These people often share their food with their dog, even if it means they have less for themselves. Our story today is about a person who had been living on the street for many years and still took care of a dog, feeding her and loving her. Because of that, the dog remained loyal. This man was often seen at the bus stop, asking people for help by begging. The local people were used to seeing him and would sometimes give him money and food, which he shared with his dog. One day, a little puppy joined them, and the man had a sign that said, "Free puppy to a good home." A girl named Alice approached him and asked about the puppy. The man showed her that the puppy could do commands like sitting, staying, lying down, and shaking hands. The puppy did everything the man asked, and a crowd of people started to watch. Alice really liked the puppy, but she wanted to know why the man was giving him away and where the puppy came from in the first place. Then the man told the story. He had lived on the street for several years. His dog, Kira, was with him all this time and was not very young. He didn't expect that she was still capable of having puppies, but suddenly she gave birth. However, there was just one. The man did his best to protect him, and now they divided their rations by 3. He taught the puppy commands, and the little one turned out to be a very quick learner. Of course, he became attached to the small puppy, the son of his beloved Kira. But the man was already so old, and he didn't expect to make it through the winter. His dog was also very old, and he figured they were destined to die together. However, the puppy was another matter. He was still young and had a lot of life yet to live. He was also very smart, and the man hoped to find him a kind owner. Looking at the girl with hope, he asked if she would agree to take him. Alice replied that she would take him home with pleasure. She loved dogs very much, and her dog passed away not so long ago, having grown old. Now she missed him very much. Alice took the puppy in her arms and was about to leave. But then a thought flashed through her head. What is this man doing on the street? Why doesn't he have his own home? After all, he apparently has a very kind heart. She asked the man how it happened that he was on the street, and the man, a little reluctantly, started telling his story. His name was Mark. He graduated from the university with very good marks, and quickly found a prestigious, well-paid job. Then he met a girl, and they fell in love with each other. Soon they got married, and they lived in perfect harmony for several years. However, they could not have children. They began to fight more and more often, and finally they decided to divorce. Mark, like a true gentleman, left everything to his wife and took with him only his little suitcase with the most necessary things. He moved to a small apartment, which he had inherited many years before. There he lived completely alone for several years until he met the true love of his life. Their romance was so passionate that they very soon realized they could not live without each other. Mark moved to her apartment, and they rented out his apartment. They both worked and earned enough money, but one day, fate intervened. His wife fell ill very abruptly, and after a comprehensive examination, she was diagnosed with advanced stage cancer. Without hesitation, he sold his small apartment with the intention to use the proceeds for her treatment. But all the doctors said it was too late. Then one day she was gone. Soon his wife's family claimed the apartment, and Mark was simply kicked out into the street. For a long time he wandered around the city alone, not knowing what to do with his life. He was fired from his job, and so he was left homeless and without a livelihood. It was at this moment in his life that his faithful dog, Kira, appeared, who has been with him to this day. His story moved Alice so much that she decided to give him the keys to her country house, which was located outside of the city in the forest. But there was a regular train there, so there was no problem getting into the city. She said that he and Kira could spend the winter at the house. There was enough firewood, and the man would not freeze. Mark looked at the girl with gratitude but politely declined, saying that he would gladly accept her offer, but he had no money for the train, and he would not be able to get to her house. Then a man came out of the crowd of listeners and said that he was looking for a security guard. This would be work for both Mark and his dog. Mark could not believe what was happening. Were people actually trying to help him? He certainly did not expect such a turn of events. Several months passed. Mark settled down in Alice's country house. He regularly traveled to work and was making decent money. Now he had an opportunity to take a shower, and he even washed his dog Kira, who, it seemed, due to their new life, even became several years younger. Alice often came to her country house to visit Mark and his dog and to bring them some food. They became good friends. On one of our trips via train, Alice ended up dozing off, then suddenly awoke, fearing she had missed her stop. It was already dark outside the window, and it was snowing. The girl got off at the next station, but realized too late that it was the wrong one before the train took off again without her. The snowstorm had already created hefty snowdrifts, and Alice stood almost waist-deep in snow, not knowing what to do next. Panic seized her, but she quickly got a hold of herself and decided to follow the tracks because they would lead her to the desired station. It became more and more difficult to walk. The girl was exhausted, constantly going against the wind. It seemed to her that she would never get to her station, and she helplessly sat down, not caring what happened next. Meanwhile, Mark lit the stove in the house and prepared a simple dinner for himself and Kira. He did not know that Alice was coming to visit them in such a blizzard, and now he was quietly sitting at the table, eating. But then Kira became agitated. She whimpered and constantly ran to the door and back. Mark understood perfectly well that she was calling him somewhere. Having dressed warmly, he leashed Kira so as not to lose her in the darkness of the blizzard, and he left the house. The dog was clearly leading him to the train tracks. The man obediently followed her. They were walking along the train tracks for a long time. Mark was getting very tired and wanted to go back when suddenly Kira started barking happily and rushed ahead. Mark realized that Kira had sensed someone very close and dear, which made her bark with joy. So he let Kira off her leash and followed her. Kira ran to a snow-covered mound and started digging energetically. Mark was surprised when they found Alice buried under the snow, unconscious. Mark picked up Alice and carried her back home. There, they warmed her up, gave her hot tea, and she quickly woke up. This is how Kira and Mark thanked Alice for her kind heart. She had helped them stay warm during the winter, and in return, they didn't let her freeze in the middle of the forest. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.